Congratulations on your election, as is customary at these points. Did you ever think you'd be back in frontline politics?
No, I really didn't. And if you'd asked me that question even only 2 months ago, I would almost certainly have said to you, oh, don't be silly.
So why then? I've seen some of the stump speeches, and, you know, angry, I think, would accurately describe them.
Yes, I'm frustrated, really frustrated. At 3 long years of negotiations going absolutely nowhere. And in the end, I just asked myself a straight question. I said, how do we get out of this? And what is the best way to get out of this? And I decided how we get out of it is no deal if necessary. And the best way to get out of it was to join the only party that was actually committed to that.
So how does the Brexit Party have any influence on the process that we're currently going through, in terms of the fact that there will be a new Conservative leader, a new Conservative Prime Minister, and undeniably they will be the ones pushing this process forward?
Well, I think if you look at it, we've already had a pretty massive influence. I mean, first of all, the local elections were a major shock to the 2 big parties, and we weren't even standing, and people were giving write-in votes on their ballot papers for us. Then came the Euro elections, and then today has come an opinion poll actually putting us in first place for Westminster. Now, you know, all that in 6 short weeks of this party actually being created. So I think we've already had that impact. We're more or less now obliging whoever leads the Conservative Party to say that we will leave without a deal if that is what we have to do. And, you know, to have done that in 6 weeks is pretty good going. You think what we can achieve in 6 months?
Now, you say 6 months. I mean, I'm assuming, therefore, that you're not of the opinion that the Brexit Party will disappear if we leave without a deal on the 31st of October.
I don't think we'll disappear for one very good reason. I don't think anybody at the moment trusts the politicians. I think we would want to see, first of all, that there was no reneging on that. Secondly, that there was no attempt to water it down in some way, but that we did actually leave convincingly, cleanly, and then build a relationship with the EU on equal terms.
But in terms of the anger, of the frustration that the Brexit Party is very clearly tapped into, now, if you didn't create the anger, and no one's suggesting that, wouldn't you at least accept that the Brexit Party perhaps threw a bit of petrol on the fire? The language, the rhetoric that was used, you know, speakers like yourself, and that very angry performance that you were putting on for what I have to say were pretty much adoring crowds.
I think you have to face the fact that the nation's pretty angry. That is why it's turned against the 2 main parties. It's angry with the fudge, angry with the obfuscation. My former party's gone mad. It's now got 12 candidates.
13, thanks to Sam Gina. Yes, Sam Gina was declared.
13 candidates for the leadership. I mean, spare me. And so what we have tapped into a vein of anger and frustration, but it's for a very clear aim. It's to get us out of the EU and deliver what the people asked for.
There were 17.4 million votes to leave the European Union.
There
were a bit more than 5 million votes for the Brexit Party. That, by my reckoning, is about 12 million angry, frustrated Brexit voters that couldn't be bothered to go to the polling station.
Well, I think, first of all, a lot of people might have thought, you know, small parties don't have a chance. Now they know differently. They know that the Brexit Party really can deliver this. It's not just something we're saying. So I think you'll find that our support goes on increasing, as that opinion poll showed today.
For all the talk of no deal, and you're right to say that it has been pushed to the top of the agenda for many a Conservative leadership candidate
pushed it back
by the Brexit Party, indeed. But for all the talk about it being an option, I mean, it was the one thing that was ruled out by the Leave campaign during the referendum, as you well know.
And it was defeated by only 1 vote in Parliament, and that vote by a Labour MP who appeared wearing a tag. So let's be very clear that Parliament itself, which is 75% Remain, wasn't so very keen and so very clear about ruling out a no deal. And the more we have failed to get a deal, the more people are saying, right, if we can't get a deal, let's just end this process.
I mean, we keep hearing about democratic deficits and betrayal of the people, but wouldn't the biggest betrayal be that the 17.4 million people who voted to leave the European Union were told all the way through that process that leaving without a deal was not a possibility, was not even an option? Wouldn't pushing for the thing that they did not vote for, the one thing they didn't vote for, isn't that the greatest betrayal?
If you actually look at the last European elections, which isn't that long ago, so your memory will be quite fresh, we were actually saying leave without a deal, and we topped the poll. Now, that was a democratic exercise that reaffirmed the people's vote of 2016. If we had stood there and said, we're not leaving without a deal, and we had topped the poll, you could devise nothing from it. But you can derive from what happened that people now want out.
When are we going to get a Brexit Party manifesto then?
Well, you'll get that for a general election, but let me say this, I think... No, I want to finish.
I'm sorry, no, that's not good enough. You're sitting here telling me that you've got a huge amount of support.
I want to finish the answer I was giving you then. And I said, you'll get that for a general election, and you will. I think Nigel, this was what I was wanting to say to you, I think Nigel Farage was absolutely right to resist the pressure for a manifesto and for a broad range of policies in the Euro elections. For this reason, we had but one policy, which was leave without a deal. And that took us to the top of the poll. And nobody can say, oh, they voted for you for other reasons.
Come on,
we had one policy. The Remain parties had loads of policies.
The reason you do not have a manifesto today is it is impossible for the 29 MEPs to agree on a policy platform. Of course it is. All we have to judge you on is what you have said in the past. Martin Dobney, Claire Fox, yourself come from massively different parts of the political spectrum.
And what a tribute it is to Nigel Farage that he's put together that broader spectrum. Now, you say it is impossible. It is being tried now. We are entering upon that process now. And by the time we fight a general election, whether it's in 3 months or 6 months or 3 years, we don't know, we will have a full range of policies. And we will be able to unite around them.
The reason I push on this point is, frankly, there are policy positions that you have suggested in the past that Martin Dobney, Claire Fox, others would have real difficulty advocating, or indeed standing next to someone who was forced to... I mean, you wrote a newspaper column in 2012 where you talked again about gay conversion therapy. You suggested that the unhappy homosexual should, according to gay activists, be denied any chance whatsoever to investigate any possibility of seeing if he can be helped to become heterosexual. Now, I don't even need to ask you whether or not that's still your view. The fact that you expressed it means that plenty of people would not want to share a platform with you.
And I also pointed out that there was a time when we thought it was quite impossible for men to become women and vice versa. And the fact that we now think it is quite impossible for people to switch sexuality doesn't mean that science may not yet produce an answer at some stage. That was the thrust. No,
just to be clear, you are saying that there is the possibility that science may decide that we can change sexuality.
I don't know any more than people once knew whether it was possible for men to become women. I don't know, and I've never claimed, and this is where I'm misrepresented quite often, I've never claimed that such science already exists. I've never claimed that. I've merely said that if you simply rule out the possibility of it, you're denying people who are confused about their sexuality or discontented with it the chances that you do give to people who want to change gender. And that's all I've said. I do not imagine for one moment that the Brexit Party will be putting forward a policy on gay sex changes in its manifesto. We have health, we have education. I
suspect it will have a policy on equality, though, won't it?
You're just completely looking for things that actually do not determine people's votes. What determines people's votes are the big policies, and we will have that. And while you're talking about standing on the same platform as Claire Fox, she has said in the past some things which might be interpreted as giving aid and succour to the IRA.
Indeed.
I lost a darn good friend in the Brighton bomb. I myself missed it by 20 minutes. I can stand on a platform with her because we're united in our aim to get Britain out of the EU. And in case anybody out there is forgetting it, that is the aim of the Brexit Party. We want to get a free, independent, proud Britain. And we want to leave that to our children and our children's children.
I have a strong suspicion that no one will be forgetting that. Anne Widdecombe, many thanks for joining us.